Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Today, we're talking about something that's becoming more and more a part of our lives.
Yeah.
AI agents.
Mm.
Those AI helpers that seem like they're popping up everywhere.
Oh, right. Like those chat bots you see on websites.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The ones that try to answer your questions or give you those personalized recommendations online.
And I guess even the smart assistants that we all talk to, like the ones in our homes.
Exactly. It seems like they're changing how businesses operate, but they're also bringing up these big questions about data privacy and bias. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's interesting. The speed at which AI agents have become part of our lives, well, it's really kind of outpaced our understanding of their impact, hasn't it? I mean, it feels like we're embracing this convenience without fully grasping the implications. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to our data. It's easy to get caught up in all the cool features without really considering the potential downsides.
Right.
We're going to uncover some surprising facts today about just how much data these AI agents are gathering and what it all means for you as a user.
Okay, I'm listening.
Did you know that by 2025, the amount of data generated globally is projected to hit 181 zettabytes?
Wow, that's a huge number.
It is. That's enough data to fill a stack of Blu-ray discs reaching to the moon and back over 23 times.
Wow, that's a lot of data.
A lot. And a lot of it is incredibly personal, too. Things like our purchase history, our geolocation, even biometric data in some cases. I mean, this data can be valuable for businesses. I get that. Helping them personalize experiences, target marketing, and even improve products and services. But it also creates a massive responsibility when it comes to protecting that data.
Absolutely. It's not just about hackers and data breaches anymore, is it? I mean, businesses are navigating a really complex web of regulations like GDPR and CCPA.
Right.
These regulations are trying to keep pace with the rapid evolution of AI. But it's a challenge. Nearly half of the organizations using AI agents have already run into compliance issues.
And those compliance issues can have serious consequences.
Yeah, for sure. Just look at the $1.2 billion penalty Meta faced for GDPR violations. That's a pretty stark reminder that these regulations have teeth. Businesses that fail to comply, well, they risk facing substantial financial penalties.
So what does all this mean for someone like me, or really any listener?
Well, it means that nearly half of the companies that you interact with, through AI might not be handling your data responsibly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's concerning. You might think you're just having a casual chat with a chatbot, like a customer service bot. But that interaction, that can be generating a treasure trove of data that's being stored and used in ways you may never have consented to.
It's almost like there's this growing disconnect between the increasing sophistication of AI agents and the level of trust that we as consumers have in those systems.
Yeah, you're right. Some people call that the AI trust gap. And honestly, that gap is only going to widen if businesses don't start prioritizing ethical considerations and proactive governance.
So it's like we're in this era where AI is like everywhere,
Mm.
and we're relying on it more and more for everything.
Mm.
But at the same time, there's this like creeping concern that we might be giving away too much information,
Yeah.
and that the information might not be handled responsibly.
It's a valid concern, and it's not just about data breaches or hackers. The data itself can be used in ways that are discriminatory or unfair. And this brings us to the issue of something we touched on before, algorithmic bias.
Okay, so let's talk about bias. I
Yeah.
think we tend to think of AI as being, objective, neutral.
Right.
But these algorithms are actually trained on data that reflects existing biases in our society. So if the data is flawed, well, the AI will be too.
Right. Yeah, think about it like this, like facial recognition algorithms. A study by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, they found that those algorithms, they misidentify women of color way more often than white men.
And that's got serious implications for things like law enforcement and security applications.
For sure. Imagine being wrongly accused or even arrested because an algorithm misidentified you.
That's a chilling thought. It really highlights the real-world consequences of algorithmic bias. It's not just a theoretical concern. It can have a real impact on people's lives.
And it's not just facial recognition either. We've seen examples of AI-powered systems perpetuating bias in everything. Loan applications, job recruitment.
Oh, right, like that e-commerce platform, the one that faced all that criticism for their AI pricing tool.
Exactly. It was charging higher prices in low-income areas.
So that's a clear example of how algorithmic bias can actually reinforce existing inequalities and really harm vulnerable global communities.
Yeah, and it all comes down to how we use the data.
It sounds like it's not just about protecting our data from being stolen or misused. It's about ensuring that the data itself isn't used to discriminate against us in really subtle, often invisible ways.
That's a crucial point. And it brings us back to the importance of transparency and accountability in AI systems. As consumers, I think we need to be aware of these potential biases, the ones that might be embedded in these algorithms. And we need to start demanding greater transparency from the companies developing and using them.
So are you saying we need to start asking questions like, what data is being collected about me? How is it being used? And how can I be sure it's not being used to discriminate against me?
Exactly. It seems like we're at this turning point where consumers are starting to demand more control over their data and greater accountability from the companies that collect it. And it's not just consumers who are demanding change. Regulators around the world are like stepping up their oversight of AI, enacting stricter laws and, well, imposing hefty fines for violations.
So the pressure is on for businesses to get this right, not just for ethical reasons, but also for legal and financial reasons too. But what can businesses do to actually address these challenges? Is it even possible to build AI systems that are both powerful and responsible?
Yeah, it feels like we're at a real crossroads with AI.
How so?
Well, on one hand, it's this incredibly powerful tool. It has the potential to really do a lot of good in the world, you know? But on the other hand, there's this like growing unease, the sense of like, are we doing this right? You know, the ethical implications.
Yeah, I see that. It's like technology is advancing faster than we can even really understand it, and faster than we can manage all of the consequences, for sure.
Especially, I think, when it comes to those real-time AI agents, like chatbots.
Oh, right.
It's like they're everywhere these days, you know, like popping up on websites and those messaging apps, even in our smart devices.
Think about it. Like, think about the last time you interacted with a chatbot.
Okay.
Maybe you were on a company's website.
Maybe asking about a product or trying to, like, resolve an issue. Or even just, like, browsing for information.
Right.
That seemingly simple interaction, you know it, that generated data
Oh, okay.
about your preferences, your behavior, even your location.
Yeah.
All that data, it's being fed into the AI, shaping its future interactions, and potentially even informing decisions that directly impact you.
It's easy to forget that there's an algorithm behind those, those chatty little avatars. Like it's actually constantly analyzing, predicting, responding based on all that data that's been fed.
Yeah, and that's where the potential for bias it becomes even more pronounced, I think.
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
Well, because these real-time AI agents are making these decisions, like on the fly, right?
Uh-huh.
So they're more susceptible to the subtle influences of bias data. It's not even just about what they say, it's how they say it.
So you're saying even seemingly small variations in how a chatbot responds,
Yeah.
like the tone, the language, even the response time, could all actually be signs of bias.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine you're interacting with a chatbot that seems dismissive or unhelpful
Yeah.
just because of your location or even like how you type.
Hmm.
That can have a real impact on your trust in a brand. And honestly, it can even perpetuate existing inequalities.
So a chatbot, like it might provide more detailed or helpful information to users who use a certain vocabulary
Right.
or a certain type of grammar. And that could be subtly favoring those who are more fluent in a particular language or dialect.
Precisely. And that's why it's crucial for companies to be mindful of this potential for bias in their chatbots
Right.
and to take those steps to try to mitigate it.
But isn't some level of automation kind of inevitable at this point?
Sure.
As these systems get more complex, it seems almost impossible to monitor and control every single interaction, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, you're right. Automation is a powerful tool. It's definitely here to stay. But I think the key is to use it responsibly
Okay.
and to find that balance, that right balance between like human oversight and AI autonomy.
So what does that actually look like in practice? Like,
Yeah.
how can businesses really make sure that their AI agents are being used ethically and responsibly?
I think it starts with awareness. Companies need to acknowledge that bias is a very real possibility
Uh-huh.
and that it can have significant consequences. They need to foster a culture of ethical AI development where that diversity of thought and perspective is actually valued.
So it's not even just about having the right technology, it's about having the right people involved
Yeah.
and the right mindset.
Absolutely. And it's about those guidelines,
Yeah.
establishing really clear guidelines and like governance frameworks for how the AI is developed and actually deployed.
Okay.
That includes like regular audits of the systems,
Right.
rigorous testing for bias, and those mechanisms for human intervention when it's necessary.
So building in safeguards
Hmm.
and checks and balances to ensure that that the AI is serving humanity and not like the other way around.
Precisely. And it's about transparency with consumers. How is AI being used and what steps are being taken to ensure fairness and accountability?
Transparency seems like a recurring theme here,
Yeah,
like building trust with consumers, but also with employees and the broader public.
you got it. Because at the end of the day, the success of AI depends on trust. If people don't trust AI, they won't use it and they won't support its development.
So it's everyone's best interest to make sure that AI is developed and used responsibly.
Mm.
But it's not just about preventing harm, right?
Yeah.
It's also about looking at the opportunities.
Oh, for sure. AI has huge potential. It can solve some of the world's biggest problems,
Yeah, like what?
climate change, healthcare. But to realize that potential, we have to build AI systems that are aligned with our values.
Okay.
Systems that are fair, transparent, and accountable.
It's an exciting, but also a challenging time to be alive, isn't it?
It is.
We're on the cusp of a real technological revolution.
Yep.
But it's up to all of us to ensure that this revolution actually benefits all of humanity, not just a select few. Yeah, it's kind of wild to think about. Like, we're really living in a time where AI is becoming so woven into our lives.
It is, isn't it?
It's almost like science fiction has become reality. But like we've been talking about, this really fast advancement comes with, comes with some challenges.
Yeah.
And some big responsibilities.
It really does. It's like we're figuring this out as we go. Like we're navigating uncharted territory.
Yeah.
We have these incredibly powerful tools, but we're still working out how to use them wisely
Yeah.
and ethically.
And that's really what this whole deep dive has been about, right? Exploring this link between AI and data privacy and algorithmic bias.
Absolutely.
We've talked about the potential risks, the consequences that we maybe don't see coming, and the need for way more transparency and accountability from the companies using AI.
Yeah, and we touched on some of the potential solutions too.
Right.
Both technical and organizational ones, like those privacy enhancing technologies, the tools that can actually detect bias and how important it is to have diverse teams working on AI development.
But AI is still evolving, so quickly. So the question I keep coming back to is, what does the future hold?
Right.
And maybe even more importantly, what role do we play as individuals, as a society, in shaping that future?
Those are the million-dollar questions, the ones I think about a lot. Because honestly, the future of AI, it isn't set in stone. It's not inevitable. We're not powerless. The choices we make today, the conversations we have, the actions we take, all of it shapes where AI is headed and how it impacts us.
So it's not just sitting back and watching it happen.
Yeah.
It's about participating and shaping it, steering it in a direction that helps everybody.
Exactly. And that means really being informed, engaged, speaking up.
Yeah.
Asking the hard questions, demanding transparency, and holding those companies accountable for the AI they're building and putting out there.
It's about being empowered by AI, not intimidated by it.
Yeah, and recognizing that we all have a say in this, that our voices actually matter.
And that AI is ultimately a tool. It can be used for good or for bad, and it's up to us to decide how we want to use it.
Well said. Couldn't agree more.
This has been I don't know about you, but this has been a really thought-provoking deep dive for me. We've only just started to explore this whole topic, and it's complex, and it's changing all the time.
It is. It's a topic that's going to keep pushing us to think and to learn. But, I'm optimistic. I think that by having these conversations, by raising awareness, and by pushing for responsible AI, we can create a future where AI helps us, that it doesn't control us, where it actually empowers us.
I like that. AI that empowers, not defines.
Yeah.
Well said.
On that note, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive, but the conversation doesn't end here.
No, it doesn't. So keep exploring this, keep asking questions, keep the conversation going. Because like you said, the future of AI, it's in our hands. And it's up to all of us to shape it in a way that's wise and beneficial for everyone. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive. We'll see you next time.